We're talking actors and directors who put on the shows.
We're talking playwrights and designers who you'll want to know.
From the very first rehearsal to the final curtain call.
We might be off Broadway, but we're talking about it all.
'Cause we're two local gals
With global pals, it's everything, everything, everything theater.
with Benita
And Ellen. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Everything Theater Podcast Backstage episode. I'm Ellen Cribbs.
Hi there, and I'm Benita Zahn. And boy, it's nice to be backstage on these cold winter nights where it's warm.
Oh my goodness, I know. I feel bad. My daughter keeps asking to play in the snow, which is just ice at this point. I'm like, no, it's 20 degrees outside.
Sorry, honey, mommy loves you, but and kind of crazy. I mean, once again, theaters that are closed. And then you probably saw the story that came out of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child.
Yes.
One of the leads being shown the door.
Mhm.
So, everybody's playing serious these days.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that those checks and balances are in place, that that production company took it seriously, and they investigated to see about his behavior and deemed, nope, you're out.
We could almost open that door locally too, to have a conversation, but the names have to be changed to protect. But
Mhm.
I think at least I think we've all had moments on stage that have made us go,
Yeah.
and there was a time where it was hard to speak up.
Mhm.
And then there became a time where you did speak up and not much was done. And now you have to. But, with non-professional theater, I wonder if it's even more difficult because so many times the people you're performing with are your friends.
Yeah.
You don't expect them to cross a line.
Yeah.
Or if they're not the friend, somebody else in the cast is. And it's been there, Ellen?
Oh yeah, and the fear too of, especially doing local theater, it's usually such a tight-knit group, that you don't want to say something and then get ostracized from that theater company, which means that other theater company, is like, well, I don't know, do we want to work with this person? So it is very difficult. And I think a lot of companies, some already do this. I'm so glad they do, but everybody needs to be more forward with their actors and crew and everyone to say, if there is an issue, this is how you should report it. Because I think a lot of times people just don't even know, like, who do I tell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's make that next week's question.
Sure.
The
Yeah.
next- Yeah. If you've been in a situation that felt inappropriate, and I'm going to leave that word because inappropriate covers a wide range.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What did you do? Was there somebody to report it to? Did it get resolved?
Yeah.
I once had somebody put their tongue down in my mouth on a kiss.
Yeah.
I think you and I've talked about. I mean, it really was, and I hit him. I was so shocked. That was not the appropriate response, obviously. But it was, I just pulled back and I slapped him.
Yeah.
And then you look at yourself and you go, oh, what did you just do? Because that's not me.
Right. But when you're taken advantage of in that very sensitive, acting is a very vulnerable profession, and you're putting yourself out there with complete trust. And when someone goes against that trust,
Yeah.
I can see why you slapped him.
Yeah. I was doubly rocked that he had done that and rocked at my response.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But and then we had to act again at another show.
Oh dear.
I don't think he came within 10 feet of me if he didn't have to, but I laugh about it now, but clearly it's troubled me for so many years.
Yeah.
So yeah, let us know how did it change you as a performer? In terms of your ability to speak out and call a wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what if you've been the one who've been called out?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is a squishy area, Ellen.
It is, but it's such an important area to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
bunch of better things. Bad food.
Bad food.
Bad food.
Bad food. So yeah, we've heard your story of between shows, but did you ever have any bad food on stage that you had to eat, or good food on stage you had to eat?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever ate good food on stage. I really don't. Uh, we talked about, I don't know if we talked about it on the show, but I had a cake once we had to eat, and it had red, piping, and it was vile. And by the second or third week, whatever, it seemed like a month later, we were still eating the same darn cake, sort of a bite, and you put it back. Ugh. Looked like mice had been there, and it tasted awful. You like eating the cake, though.
I did like eating the cake because I'm a cake person, but I did have another show where it very specifically, the show is Graceland, which is a beautiful one-act play. And it very specifically says that the character eats snowballs, and not the kind of snowballs I like the shaved ice, like the pink coconut covered,
with the chocolate inside and
I hate coconut and I hate snowballs. And I convinced my director that my character has so little in the world that maybe she would just take a tiny bite and save the rest for later.
I love it.
Oh,
I love it. No, a snowball, that whole squishy quality
yeah.
to a snowball.
Yeah.
Is
I don't
awful.
know. I don't know what that playwright was thinking.
Maybe they like them, or
a lot of people do. Yeah. I might be in the minority here.
I mean, they've been around a long time.
Yes.
It's interesting. There's another, just a quick aside. I want to give them a shout out.
Mm-hmm.
There's a play in Rhinebeck at the Center for Performing Arts called Laughing Stock. And most of the shows, they suspended their performances at the Center for Performing Arts until February.
Mm-hmm.
Due to the intensity of the recent, outbreak, the center deems it prudent to cancel all public presentations until the beginning of February 2022. And when they do, they are coming back with, let me just pull it up, Laughing Stock. That will be, runs the 4th to the 13th.
Nice.
So it's billed as a hilarious backstage farce and a genuinely affectionate look into the world of the theater and the people who bring it to life. So I just wanted to give them a shout out as they reopen, and you can give them a holler to, it's the Center for Performing Arts.org. If you want to take a nice little drive from the 518, or if you're living a little further south, it's close, and they're just going to be getting their feet back under them.
Nice. Nice.
So,
and hopefully February, yeah, things are looking better for February. Fingers crossed, toes crossed, everything crossed.
My toes are crossed too.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this was food, glorious food.
Food, yes. So let's see what some of our listeners said.
They're fun. They're fun. Take it away.
All right. Yeah. So Eileen said, for a production of Greetings in Buffalo, we had to eat meatloaf, mashed potatoes, gravy, and peas 8 times a week, including a few cast members having to finish their meals and ask for seconds. Because there was a vegetarian in the cast.
That would have been me.
Yeah, me too. I would have been this person to mess it all up.
Right?
Yeah. This meal was made worse by offering a substitution of pumpernickel bread and mushroom gravy. After the scene, I, as mother, had to quickly and efficiently clear the entire table, including scraping the gross plates into a neat pile in the semi-dark, with the director insisting that I plop down the silverware with a loud clink on the final note. The whole meal was vile, and the stress of that cleanup ballet was worse.
Eileen, I hope they were paying you well.
Yeah.
Can you just smell it?
No. Oh, I don't want to think about it. And yeah, and like, I don't know. I have a thing too about like touching like food that like other people like have half eaten and like having to do that on stage to like clean up everybody's food. Ugh.
I'm with you. Give me rubber gloves, right?
Yeah.
Lila said, my first show in college, we had a scene where I had some kind of food. I don't even remember what, but one of the other girls on stage had a turkey sub. And there was a bit where we just didn't have any lines or anything. And someone forgot a line and they were trying to get the scene back on track. So I looked over at Amanda, nodded to her sub, and she nodded back, and we traded food. We may have gotten in trouble by the director later on, but it was fun in the moment. And boy, did it probably save the moment.
Yeah. It's, I wouldn't think about that as like a filler for a scene, but hey, let's swap food.
You know what happens in that moment,
Mm-hmm. I do indeed. Aaron said the funniest was in Drumming in the Night at Prop Theater in Chicago. I played the daughter who is having dinner with her parents and her boyfriend in the scene. The maid would bring us dinner and we would always exchange glances because it was always some random bread and we were supposed to pretend it was steak or something. Well, the woman playing the maid was also the costume designer. She was taking care of a costume issue backstage and Mr. Q. It's a bit of a blur, but I think we improvised some dialogue. And finally, the genius actress, Karen Fort, totally in character, went off stage to get the maid.
Oh, Lord. Nora says, way back in college, I was in a production of Tennessee Williams' This Property Condemned. I had to eat a banana and repeatedly drop it, pick it up, and eat it again. It was always bruised and mushy by the end. I have never liked bananas since.
Picking up a banana that you dropped on stage. Oh, let's see. Ryan Palmer says, servant of two masters, effing bread, end of story. Which is a lot
of bread.
This is the production I directed this summer. And poor Ryan had to do this whole bit with bread where he had to try not to swallow it. And yeah. But the best thing is, I'm going to do a little shout out for Ryan here, because as a director, he's like, where's this bread coming from? I was like, oh, well, we'll make sure you have a pocket or something. Well, we get to Tech Week first night with costume. He put the piece of bread in his hat. So he just, in the middle of a scene, because it was, like several pages of dialogue before this moment came, just took his hat off, grabbed the bread, and then proceeded to eat this bread that's been sitting on his sweaty head.
At least it was his sweaty head.
Yes.
Could always have been worse. I love this. Jeremy JJ writes, pizza at intermission. I was in a production. This is great. I was in a production of Fiddler on the Roof years ago. I played Mendel, the rabbi's son, and from a Sarah on roller skates. Yes, roller skates. The producer wouldn't close down the concession stand until they made $200. The longest intermission came in just over half an hour. Picture 4 people in Fiddler costumes getting pizza. Yes. Since intermission was that long, we broke the rules and we ate in costume. They've just given them the $5 and held the pizzas.
I just can't imagine that policy. Like the audience is just sitting there waiting for the show. Right? No, not until someone else orders something from the concession stand.
Somebody's got to write that into a play.
Oh my gosh, that is hysterical. Let's see. Brittany says, I was playing Sally in Cabaret, and in the scene where she makes the prairie oyster, which is raw egg and Worcestershire sauce, my blocking was to pretend to drink it and then be all flirty with Cliff. Well, one night my nerves were high and I accidentally took a giant swig. Let's just say my facial expressions were not particularly flirty that night.
But I love. So Steve Leeper writes, Brittany, I played Cliff before you were born. I downed that damn prairie oyster in one gulp every performance. Yikes.
Well, how did you guys handle that in your production?
It was fake.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't have to drink it. So unless I missed something, I don't think they faked it.
Because Sally has to actually like crack the egg on stage, right? And
yeah, but you don't drink it ultimately.
Yeah.
But Betsy Reese, if you're listening, and I missed it because I was backstage prepping for my scene, let us know.
Yeah. Let's see. Christine says it wasn't during a show, but we were reaching the end of rehearsals for the Magnificent Ambersons, set at the turn of the century. Must have been a 10 out of 12 because we took a lunch break and I was really hungry. We went to a restaurant and I ordered meatloaf. The return of meatloaf. It was delicious and I ate every bite. Came back to the theater and got into costume to finish rehearsal. After 20 minutes of being in a corset, I was lying on stage groaning in pain. Finally, the director told me to take it off. It taught me to eat light during 2 show days.
Which goes back to my story from the other day about they were going to serve us mac and cheese on our 2-show day. And I'm like, no.
It's like, oh, I have a brick in my stomach.
You can't. And it was weird physical. This one cracks me up. Andrew says, cucumber sandwiches and the importance of being earnest.
And that's a tricky one. I wonder like how people tend to do that because bread is so, it sticks to your mouth and that's such a wordy scene in
Right.
earnest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And they like down those things.
Oh, right.
Michael says during a production of The Whipping Man, one of the other 2 actors on stage ate a piece of horse meat, which was actually Jack Link's beef jerky, and he started to choke. He ended up walking backstage to get water, leaving myself and the other actor on stage to improvise for what felt like forever. It was probably only 60 seconds, but it was also the part of the scene where neither of us had any written lines to fall back on. I've been told by many people that saw this particular performance that they thought it was just part of the show as written.
You know, if you don't let on, the audience doesn't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the killer. Yeah, really. Jody says the college theater professor director wouldn't allow us to eat on stage during a performance. As he used to say, I'm not stopping a performance so I can go on stage and perform the Heimlich. But, you know, I get it, but then you're not true to the script if the script calls for it.
True. Very true. Yeah. You just have to learn to act with the food, which is opposite situation. I did a show once where I was really struggling with my character. She was a weird character and I didn't really know what to do with her. And I was like, I just envisioned this character eating all the time. Like it's just a good thing. So I asked the director, I was like, could I make this choice? She's like, yeah. So we had grapes, Twizzlers, popcorn, that just every scene I had something different. I would just start eating. Oh. Let's see. Rebecca says, my daughter played Randy in A Christmas Story, and she still has nightmares about the days-old pile of mashed potatoes that she had to stick her face in every performance.
Yeah, that's the other thing. When you're doing community theater, the budget's not big.
Right.
So you're going to eat the days old mashed potatoes and the cake that you buy one and it goes all week, if not more, and the pumpernickel. You know, that's somebody once joked, and I'm sure you've seen the joke, you know, you're doing community theater when your couch spends more time on stage than it does in your living room.
Yeah.
You know, we all have stuff like that. I just brought a pair of boots in over. I'm going to give them a shout out. Maybe you want to advertise with us, Delmar Bootery. Great pair of boots. And I've been saving them, you know, resurrecting them for years because they're fabulous stage boots. I got a call today that said, we're sorry. Oh. They are what they are. And, you know, maybe I'll just take a little magic marker.
I know I have a pair of what I call my show boots that I think have gone through like 20 different shows with me. I mean, I just wore them all the time and they are rough.
That's another question we can ask one week.
Yeah.
You know, what's the item? Well, we'll save that. We'll save that one.
Put it in our back pocket.
Yeah. Right. I think the discussion about healing is it's timely.
Mm-hmm.
It's persnickety.
Yeah.
It's a very hard thing to do. I think it's difficult professionally or community.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's an easy way around it. But the
Yeah.
moral of the story is pick your shows well so you don't have to eat food.
Very true. Although, sometimes, as I said, like I like the cake, and this last one about mashed potatoes, it reminds me of I was teaching with Drama Kids of the Capital Region. They're a great company.
Yeah.
And there was this show where the kids were supposed to have mashed potatoes. And so I would make them every night. Like I get fresh potatoes, but they were just like instant boxed mashed potatoes, and they would be sitting like in the fridge for a long time before they actually ate them. They were disgusting, but the kids were obsessed and they kept trying to eat them. I was like, stop eating the prop. It's gross anyway.
Yeah, but how old were they? 7, 8, 9?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I mean, let's face it, at that age, white paste tastes good.
Yeah.
The appetite is voracious. You're not counting calories yet. It's a whole different zeitgeist.
Exactly. They're like, oh, something to eat on stage. Let's eat it, whatever it is.
Right. And it's kind of novel, right?
It is. It is.
I've actually, when I think about it, been really fortunate. I've rarely, and it's mostly sweets that I've had to eat on stage.
Yeah. I haven't had to eat like a whole meal, like Eileen was saying. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah. That's rough.
Oh,
Then you got to
Lord.
like time your lines with
Right.
eating.
And then, the breath of your fellow actor and you. Ooh,
Yeah.
that's all I got to say. I wouldn't want to get near it. So by the next time we get together, I will have been to Proctor's to see Come From Away.
Oh, nice.
The Hubs never saw it. It's you and I both. We adore that show. Saw it in New York. And I'll let you know how that goes. Proctor's has struggled with house size.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you a report.
Yeah, give me a report how it goes. I mean, yeah, I'd hope that show would bring in lots of people. And if I've never had the luck to see it live, but I saw it on Apple TV. So if our listeners are like, how do I see it? It's not anywhere near me. Check out it's a recording of the original cast on Broadway, and it's amazing. Just even having it that close to the actors is a really, really well done production of it.
Very clever staging.
Mm-hmm.
It's no more than it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
And very powerful.
A very smart show to keep it in one act. I think a lot of shows, they think we have to be 2 acts, but some just want to sit down, experience the whole thing at once and be done. And that show is definitely one of them.
They don't have to worry about selling $200 worth of pizza at intermission. Oh, JJ, the stories. We haven't had him on in a long time.
Yeah.
We may have to, he's got a lot of stuff. What else? Is there any other Broadway gossip, local gossip, stage-wise? And I don't mean it in the, the backbiting kind of way, but.
Yeah, no, I think from what it sounds like, a lot of companies are hoping to press forward with their shows. Shows are moving forward. I know that last time I mentioned admissions had been canceled for a weekend at Sand Lake. Unfortunately, they had to cancel the whole run. But we'll keep you posted if there's any update if there's anything going to be rescheduled for it, hopefully. And that breaks my heart for everybody involved.
Also, what did they figure? 800 people hours had gone into that show when they called it. As I think I've said this, and I wonder what other theaters are looking to do something like this, but Park Stage Company has Bright Star coming up, and they're going to have a couple of shows with limited audience and more space seating, like we saw at the height of the pandemic back during Alpha or Delta, or who knows what it was back then, for people who have a concern. So you can still go see the show. And I'm just trying to pull something up. And I would imagine that some other theaters may be making concessions as well. And I haven't heard, if Marjorie Prime has gotten the go ahead?
I believe they're rescheduled for March. I think they just moved them to
Yeah.
the
That's what I thought.
spring session and then move their entire season back.
Yeah. Stomp. Let me just make sure I've got the most recent here. Yeah, it's I'm pretty sure I'm in the most recent one that Stomp has suspended some.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Well, and for our listeners too, if you're not aware, I plan to do this. The government's releasing N95 masks for free, up to three a person at local pharmacies, starting either this week or next.
Say that again.
The government is
Yes.
releasing all these free N95 masks. So I'm going to go get me some so that when I go to the theater, I can wear those and feel more protected.
Yes, I have ordered. We traveled, so I use them in the plane.
Mm-hmm.
But and I'm glad you said something, Ellen. Let's face it, those cute cotton masks, they're not enough.
Yeah, not anymore.
They're just not enough. If you want to wear it over your surgical, great. That's a good combo. If you don't have a KN95, they're going to have KN95s, correct?
I thought it was N95s. I'm not sure.
I think it's KNs.
KNs. Okay.
But because the way that the difference, the KNs are around the ears and they're not medical grade, and the N95 goes over it's the back of your head. It's a tighter fit. Slightly more effective than a KN. Not a ton, but slightly more effective.
I'm just doing a quick search and it sounds like they are N95s.
Wow.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Hootie.
That's what I was like, I gotta call CVS figure out when the shipment happens.
Yeah, because I've signed up for the test kits.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting. But yeah, there's let's see, Slave Play closed on the 23rd.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yep, that closed on the 23rd. Didn't get to see that. And so that's closed. If you were looking for that, it's not. And let me and I said Stomp was just trying to we're just trying to keep everybody abreast of what's going on. Yeah, and just to go back to we started, it's James Snyder who was fired from Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Mm-hmm. And the woman he was acting opposite actually took a leave.
Right. Yeah.
To deal with Christine Baranski discusses starring in MAME in an unaired, it hasn't come up. She performed at the Kennedy Center, but she was on the Sunday morning show, if you can pull that up. And she's in the Gilded Age.
Yes, I was just going to say Gilded Age is coming out, and we'll see a lot of our locals, hopefully in the background, because they filmed in Troy.
Right. I think that's a new drinking game. Who do you know? Every time you spot somebody, you know. And I didn't get to do it. The timing was never right. How about you?
Yeah, no, I like kind of put my information in, but didn't really, put all the effort I should have. I didn't put like my measurements in or anything. So they probably were like, we don't have enough information from this person.
Yeah, it was every time I thought I could have, no, I was still working full time at the time.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm just trying to take a look, see if there's anything else that we should be sharing. National Tour of the Prom postponed at the Hippodrome, but I think now we're really it's week to week. Yes, we would like to believe that Omicron we're peaking and it'll start to fade, but now I just got an article about sort of Omicron 2. So don't throw those masks away just yet.
Nope, certainly not. Yeah.
So plenty to talk about in our next episode.
Absolutely. Yes. And next time too, we will be talking about the swing situation on Broadway with a very, very special guest.
Yes, a swing man himself,
Mm-hmm.
who hails from the capital region.
Woo-woo.
That's all we're gonna say.
Spoiler. You have to come listen to the episode to find out who.
Anything else cooking for you, Ellen?
No, just waiting for the weather to get warmer.
Well, then on that note,
Yeah.
I'm Benita Song.
I'm Ellen Cribbs. We'll chat with you next time. Thank you so much for listening to the Everything Theater podcast. Special thanks goes out to Alice Grinling for our photography and Justin Friello for composing our amazing theme song. Please remember to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to share your thoughts or what's going on in your theater community, you can reach out to us on social media or through our email at everythingtheaterpodcast@gmail.com. Till next time, it's everything.